And we're back here live, everybody, with you on WFLA now. And really, the situation here is unfolding rapidly. As soon as we have another live feed, our crews now have to conserve battery here. And really, the Laundrie household is... I mean, it's worth showing you, of course, if there's any developments there at the Laundrie household, but now a search is underway for Brian Laundrie, and it goes well beyond clearly just this one particular block of Northport, Florida. It goes beyond Northport. It goes beyond the county here. It's really the entire Tampa Bay area, the entire state of Florida now is going to be on alert for Brian Laundrie. And if you don't know his face, it's right there. If you don't know his face by now, you haven't been online a whole lot the last several days. This is a story that I've talked to people everywhere who, even folks that I know personally that aren't usually plugged into the day-to-day news cycle, if you will, and that know about this story. So Brian Laundrie's face is everywhere. Gabby Petito's face is everywhere. People are looking for Gabby, and now they're certainly looking for Brian Laundrie here. Let's get to some of the questions here in the Facebook Live comment section and on Twitter, in the replies section on Twitter, as well as on YouTube Live to our YouTube audience. You guys are the hardest because your comments are scrolling through so fast. It's hard to spotlight your comments, but we're going to do our very best here to answer questions and continue to have a conversation here for you. But let me make this perfectly clear for our audience here joining us. We have access to a lot of feeds. If I could swivel my camera around, I would show you. We have a lot of feeds here, or at least access to a lot of feeds. If something develops, I hit 2 buttons and we're there live. So stick around here for us. The reason is now because we've now entered this very bizarre phase where everyone is fanning out as far as law enforcement to look for Brian, and it's going to be expansive. And we don't know how long the search is going to take, but at least law enforcement have a starting point here. With Gabby, you're talking about national parks. You're talking about a very vast area of the country. With Brian, he drove the van here as of 24 hours ago, or let's say 30 to 36 hours ago. Police knew where he was. So there's a starting point there. And you would imagine that with enough agencies involved, the FBI, state police, local police, really the entire world looking for Brian Laundrie, that they are going to find him. But I will say this. There have been some comments here in the Facebook Live comment section wondering about Brian Laundrie's mental state. And with the entire world knowing his name and not knowing it for a positive reason, there have been a lot of, I'll just say this, there's a lot of concern here in our social media comment section for Brian's mental state right now. And as a reminder, and most of the comments that I have seen, without putting them up here on screen here, because some of them are very strong worded, and we're going to try to keep the train on the tracks, as I call it. There are a lot of people here that want to find Brian alive because they want to find Gabby. And because Brian is the one who has the most information as to where Gabby might be. So if something happens to Brian Laundrie here, the situation could really worsen as far as the Petito family's hope of tracking down Gabby Petito. So I'll just say that there's a lot of comments here, concern for the mental well-being of Brian Laundrie here, and it's really wholly centered on finding Gabby Petito right now, because escaping and going missing doesn't help your situation. It doesn't help your situation if you're Brian Laundrie. This dramatically makes things worse. And we were talking about this in the comment section a short time ago. We were talking about it on several streams. Somebody asked me about the Cancun thing. We mentioned here on stream that because Brian is a person, we're getting into semantics here. Brian being a person of interest, not a suspect, and not being charged with any crime. I asked on stream here, and we had a conversation about it yesterday with our team, our entire panel here. If Brian booked a plane ticket for Cancun, could he legally leave the country and go to Cancun and go and travel internationally? And the answer is yes, because he's a free man, and he's a person of interest. But at the time, because he's not being charged with any crime, and he has his passport, he's able to leave and go where he wants. He's a free person. He's not being charged with the crime. Here we are now, and Brian's location now is unknown, and we don't know where he is. That's not to say that he's traveled that far, but it again points to him being a person of interest, not being charged with any crime. He's allowed to leave. There's no rule, and there's no judge giving him an order that he has to stay in this jurisdiction. He has to stay in this state. He's allowed to go wherever he wants, but now, not knowing where he went, if he wanted to travel to a family's house in Orlando, and again, we're going into hypotheticals here. If he wanted to travel to a family's house in Orlando because he felt safer there, he could do it. And it's up to police to just keep tabs on him.